This video is an overview of our VS-5RS, one of 3 designs in our Forged Sprint line wheel family. We'll cover the differences between the Sprint and Enduro versions of this wheel, why it matters to you, and we'll dig into why it's become one of the most popular wheel models to date. We'll cover key features and compare performance data versus the VS-5RE, plus a forged competitor wheel, so you can really see why these wheels are changing the game. I'm Ryan March, Director of Operations here at Apex Wheels, and the machine behind me is my E46 M3 race car equipped with a set of VS-5RS forged wheels. We launched the Forged Sprint line with the intention of creating the lightest wheels possible while still honoring our commitment to real performance. The wheels within this line are as light as we can make them, without compromising on our core values of strength and stiffness, ensuring they deliver the performance that you expect when purchasing forged wheels. We see strength and stiffness compromised all the time in our industry, in pursuit of lower advertised weights, and many buyers like yourself end up shortchanged as a result. By offering a similar design aesthetic across 2 different unique forged wheel lines, one optimized for strength and one optimized for low weights, it gives enthusiasts like yourself the ability to choose the best solution for your specific application. Stick around while we delve further into why the Apex VS-5RS is the ideal choice for weight-conscious enthusiasts like yourself. Okay, so let's talk about who these wheels are ideal for. Well, it's right in the name, Sprint. These are our fastest and lightest wheels here at Apex. They're optimized for those who want a split 5 lightweight forged wheel without taking serious compromises in strength, stiffness, and key features like brake clearance. Our VS-5RS wheels are popular among street drivers and wheel-to-wheel racers alike, as they come in a wide variety of fitments to cover every type of application. They're an extremely common sight at local track days and club races for good reasons. Now, despite being beautiful, the Sprint line wheels are made up of function-first wheels. Buyers of these wheels are looking for a real performance boost for their vehicles, and not just a split 5 aesthetic change. Sprint line buyers are typically not first-time wheel buyers either. After owning a few sets of more affordable but heavier wheels, they've learned the extra performance and durability that this line offers is worth the extra investment. Alternatively, many buyers have previously spent a lot more money on expensive custom wheels, and they appreciate the savings that these off-the-shelf solutions provide. More recently, we're seeing a lot of enthusiasts switch from an inferior wannabe performance wheel that mostly delivers on the look, but is not delivering on measurable performance and function, as these consumers are becoming more educated shoppers. If these wheels are simply out of your budget, then you may consider our VS5 flow-formed wheel, as it delivers a lot of the same features and aesthetic, but at a slight weight penalty. And if you're on the fence about paying more for the extra few pounds of weight savings that these would provide you, then here's something to consider before you make a decision. Reducing rotational mass can be 5 to 10 times more effective than reducing static weight. Meaning, the performance gains from dropping 3 extra pounds between the 2 types of wheels could mean as much as 60 to 120 pounds off of your vehicle. That means you'd have to install lots of carbon fiber parts or other expensive items in order to achieve the same result. Consider how much you'd have to spend to go that direction. Depending on the car, it could be more than the difference in pricing between the flow-formed option and this Sprint line option that you actually wanted. And the beauty with wheels is how simple this is to implement by installing or reversing by taking off. Now, if you're a really fast driver that constantly pushes your car to the limit, or you're wheel-to-wheel racing, and you're using maybe a heavier car, or a car that uses extra sticky tires like slicks, or a car that has a lot of downforce, you will want to consider the VS5RE Enduro version of these wheels, as they offer a much higher load rating, stiffer spokes, all designed to better handle the cornering stresses and Gs that those more extreme applications generate. Let's think about Corvette Z06s with Michelin slicks, or the new Porsche 992 GT3 RS with the tremendous amount of aero and downforce it produces. These are great examples of vehicles that would use our Enduro wheels. Now, these Sprint line wheels are extremely lightweight and they're going to do the job for a vast majority of enthusiasts. Again, still strong and still stiff, not a floppy wheel. But like everything, there's a trade-off. So you need to decide what type of vehicle are you running, how are you running it, and what is your priority. That's how you're going to pick between the three different options. To appreciate the problem that the Sprint line is truly solving, we first need to talk about a serious issue with forged wheels and the wheel industry as a whole. Most enthusiasts are under the false impression that strength needs are adequately being met by all forged wheels being sold today. Most racers and driving enthusiasts like yourself upgrade to forged wheels with the goal of having stronger and lighter wheels. But marketing has trained consumers to associate the word forged automatically with strength, and it goes unquestioned. In general, forged wheel pricing starts at double the cost of cast and flowform wheels, so it's reasonable for enthusiasts to want a wheel that delivers on both of those promises. The problem is twofold. On one hand, there's little to no transparency regarding performance in our industry. Strength is totally measurable, and it can be communicated through numbers, yet we lack anything meaningful to compare wheels besides weight and pricing. The question that we should be asking is how strong are the wheels? Because forged is not a number. On the other hand, there's a more controversial topic, which is that there's a growing wave of garbage forged wheels flooding the marketplace. They're under-engineered, over-promising, and they're under-delivering. They're taking advantage of the public's lack of understanding, and consumers are led to believe they're buying a forged wheel at a bargain price, when really they're just getting less. Almost every day, a new wheel brand with no experience releases their own performance wheel, offering a cool motorsport-looking design with surprisingly low weights and aggressive discounted pricing. So what's the catch? How are they doing this? Well, these wheels may deliver low weights on a scale, but they can absolutely trade off strength and stiffness. You can't tell because all those performance measurements aren't being disclosed, making it easy for pretend performance wheels to look credible next to the ones that are actually delivering on real performance. You can easily end up buying forged wheels with less strength than a cast wheel. Now, do you really want to pay 2, 3, 4x as much for that? This new phenomenon is all thanks to a new breed of corner-cutting factories that offer to machine custom sets from a simple napkin drawing or a photo for suspiciously low pricing. Unlike cast and flow forming factories, a forged machine shop can actually be set up with much less capital investment. So there are a lot of amateur manufacturers just getting into the game. These unprofessional factories are enabling brands to get into the game with essentially zero barrier to entry, with low order quantities and by skipping the important engineering and testing that Apex does that would add cost and slow down their production times. The design of these wheels are cranked out by unknown engineers who are focused on delivering a particular aesthetic for their customer, and there's no room in their low margins to provide thorough engineering and FEA, let alone any third-party testing that we do that would rocket up their costs. Low weights are easily achieved by compromising the load rating, increasing stresses, and sacrificing stiffness. All of this is easy to hide, and it's hard to scrutinize. These inexperienced brands don't know how to keep up with their suppliers, put them into check, or ask the right questions, so they further spread misinformation to their customers, including misinformation about significant things like testing and certification, such as the wheels that they're sourcing are JWL, VIA, SAE, or even TUV, when they're actually none of those things. Now let's look at one of our forged VS-5RS Sprint line wheels versus a forged VS-5RE Enduro wheel, as well as a similar forged design from a competitor. All three of these wheels in this comparison are an 18x9 ET46 offset in a 5x130 bolt pattern, which is a common front wheel fitment for a Porsche Cayman or 911. To do this comparison, we laser scanned the competitor's wheel and reverse engineered it to create an accurate 3D model that we can put through the exact same advanced FEA simulations we run on our own wheels when developing them. This is the most apples-to-apples comparison for stress, strength, and stiffness. This is important because different companies have different 3D models, and they calculate stresses differently, and they have different safety margins. First, let's look at the weight of all three of these wheels. The VS-5RS weighs 17.8 pounds, the VS-5RE weighs approximately 20.6 pounds, The competitor's wheel is advertised as the lightest at 17.1 pounds and would look like it's the most attractive to buyers when shopping for lightweight wheels. But in actuality, this wheel weighs 18.5 pounds when measured on the same calibrated scale that we used for all three. As you can see, the Sprint Line wheel is actually the lightest of the three. Now, let's start adding in more important specs and we'll start to see bigger differences. The competitor's wheel is rated at 690 kg, or 1,520 pounds. The Sprint Line wheel is rated at 1,650 pounds, and the Enduro wheel is rated at a whopping 2,100 pounds, making it by far the strongest. To most people, it would look like the Sprint Line wheel and the competitor wheel are still pretty similar. Two important notes before we continue. The 5x130 application calls for a 735 kg load rating by JWL standards, which is about 1,620 pounds, meaning despite being engraved with the JWL logo, signifying that it's compliant to that JWL standard, the competitor's wheel does not meet the load rating requirements that it's claiming to meet. So part of their weight savings comes from undercutting the standard, which makes them weaker than cast and flowform wheels that are fully compliant. Additionally, the wheel is stamped with the VIA logo, signifying independent testing and certification by an agency in Japan, which it did not in fact receive. We know this because we have access to their online registry where we can see what's been certified since we use the VIA extensively for our independent testing and certification of all of our flow-formed wheels. They're an extremely strict organization, and you cannot even qualify for testing if your load rating is under the minimum standard, or even if it's just labeled wrong. Selling wheels that aren't actually VIA can save hundreds of thousands of dollars, plus a huge amount of time, speed to market. Consumers unfortunately aren't able to easily fact-check these testing claims, and there are no regulatory bodies in the USA that stop this type of mislabeling. So it's easy to get away with it and just pocket the savings. Okay, let's move on and bring the computer simulated stresses into the picture, so we can really start to see things that the public cannot see at the surface. We run a lengthy series of simulations, and one of the final numbers we get is an average stress that's great for us to sum up strength with. The Enduro wheels experience the lowest stress in this simulation, as it's easily the strongest with the highest load rating. The Sprint Line wheel's average stress is 30% higher because of its 30% lower load rating by design. This is one of the main areas where the Enduro wheel makes up for its heavier weight, in strength. So let's focus on the competitor's wheel now. Surprisingly, even though the advertised load rating is only 5% lower than our Sprint Line wheel, its average stress is 27% higher. It's also almost 90% higher stress than our Enduro wheel, instead of just 40% based on the load rating differences between the two. Since we use average stress to help determine load ratings, if this was our own wheel design, we'd instantly have to drop the load rating down to 1,200 pounds to make it accurate and fairly matched how we assessed our other wheels. Seeing as that is grossly below the minimum called for by the JWL for this intended application, we'd frankly never be able to release it for sale, and we would have to totally re-engineer it to meet the minimum JWL strength requirements, which would add even more weight in the process. Now, let's add stiffness to the equation. We do this by modeling how much the spokes deflect under load, and how much that ultimately changes the angle of the wheel's barrel. That angle represents how much camber is lost to the wheel's face flexing under a set load. Wheels with low stiffness will flex more and lose more camber and feel less direct through the steering wheel, as the wheel is also acting like a spring. In most performance applications, negative camber is dialed in to maximize grip mid-corner and for reducing outer edge tire wear. Some companies will lead you to believe that simply being forged makes your wheels stiffer and flex less than cast or flowform wheels, but that is far from the truth. First, cast and flowform wheels are made from A356 aluminum, which is a naturally stiffer alloy than 6061 T6. Second, it's the design that matters, not the material itself. Forged wheels with a very shallow spoke is floppy. Adding depth significantly increases stiffness, but depth costs money because it uses a lot more aluminum in the blank, and it takes up caliper clearance, so you have to 3D laser scan lots of vehicles and model your brakes to use that space efficiently. That's exactly what we do here at Apex. The Sprint Line wheel is 35% stiffer than the competitor's wheel, while the Enduro wheel is almost 70% stiffer. These are staggering numbers that really contribute to real performance. Yet these stiffness metrics are not available for easy comparison for consumers like yourself to access during the buying process. Translated to the real world, that stiffness difference can be like losing a half a degree of negative camber during mid-corner. Even an intermediate driver can recognize when losing that type of camber, let alone the outer edge tire wear differences that you're going to see from that. You can actually see what causes such a significant stiffness difference just by looking at the spoke depth across all three of these wheels. You can't deny it. The stiffer wheels have meaningful depth. The VS-5RS Sprint Line wheel is over a half a pound lighter, 27% stronger, and 35% stiffer in comparison to the competition. Alright, so now I'd like to highlight the key features and manufacturing techniques that make the VS-5RS so special, and delve into how it's truly different from other split 5 spokes available in the marketplace. Like all forged wheels here at Apex, the VS-5RS wheels are from 6061 T6 aluminum and a 10,000-ton press, and most importantly, they're coming off of our custom motorsport dies that took us over 2 years to develop. Now, we're really proud of this point because it's a differentiator. These custom dies allow us to really take the handcuffs off in the engineering phase of designing these wheels. Here's what I mean by that. When we have our custom motorsport die, we can go deeper with the spokes, more concave with the spokes. We can get creative with the inner lip design, and we can offer fitments that are quite extreme. Let's say a 13.5-inch wide wheel for a Corvette or a Porsche. Now, a lot of our competitors are using off-the-shelf, more generic dies, and we call these street dies. That's because these generic dies really cut them off at the knees in terms of what they can do with the different functional features of the wheel, and may even prohibit them from releasing certain fitments that they want to release. This is a real game changer for us. Okay, so I want to talk about weight-saving techniques, not only implemented on the VS-5RS here, but across all forged Apex wheels. And the first thing is pointing out that aggressive side milling along the spokes. Our engineers are performing extensive FEA analysis to identify where they can remove a ton of material and where that material needs to stay to keep the wheel structurally sound, strong, safe, and stiff. After all, we don't want floppy wheels. Now, it looks like they took an ice cream scooper to a lot of our wheels. That's how much material is coming out. This ensures that these wheels are as light as possible and that this feature is actually delivering value to you in the real world. Now, this is not a new technique, side milling, but it really comes down to how a company implements the strategy, right? If you look at a lot of other options out there in the marketplace, it is really more about checking the box for marketing. They're putting a tracer in the wheel, it's not really removing much material, or they're actually adding material to the backside of the spoke, which gives the illusion that they're taking material away when they are not. Neither of those are very effective. Another location where we've actually removed quite a bit of material is a bit unsuspecting. It's hidden, it's on the back pad of the wheel. Now, I always laugh because when you pull the wheel out of the box and you look at our back pad, it's a beautiful part of our wheel. They're doing some extensive CNC machining, pocketing, we would call it, in between the lug holes. And when you combine that with the side milling on the front of the wheel, on the spokes, you're really starting to put together quite a bit of material that adds up in terms of weight reduction. So we talk a lot about inner lip design here at Apex, and that is for good reason. The inner lip is the first line of defense against potholes on the street and berms at the racetrack. We put a lot of emphasis on the inner lip of these VS-5RS wheels, just like all of our Sprint Line wheels. It features a Sprint Spec inner lip. Now, this Sprint Spec inner lip has about a half a pound of extra material, about 30% more material, than our standard lip found on our Flowform wheels. And this, can't just be globbed on there to be effective. Our engineers had to review the lip design and to strategically place that extra material in a location that would add more resiliency to make these wheels more robust in comparison. The VS-5RS offers fantastic brake clearance. After all, what good is a well-performing wheel, a beautiful wheel, if it doesn't clear those brakes that you have? We all know that brakes keep getting larger and larger from car manufacturers, and there's a lot of aftermarket options out there too. So at Apex, what we do is we bring in a tremendous amount of cars into HQ here, and we 3D scan all of the brake assemblies, as well as some suspension as well. And that allows our engineers to basically design the spoke geometry and the drop center of the barrel shape around these brakes. Barrel to caliper clearances are superior on the RS wheel with its 0-degree draft design versus the tapered barrel, and this allows more brake calipers to clear and gives more room for pebbles and small debris to squeeze between the caliper and the barrel when you're using these on track or on a street. That ultimately ensures that enthusiasts like yourself can run the smallest diameter wheel possible. After all, we want to shed as much rotational mass as we can, and we also want to have as many tire options as we can without spending a ton of money on tire consumables. We also collect a lot of 2D templates from popular brake manufacturers like StopTech, Brembo, APS6, Willwood, and many more depending on the application. Another key functional feature of these Sprintline wheels is the paintless knurling along the barrel. Now, the job of the knurling along the barrel is to prevent the tire from slipping under heavy acceleration, more importantly under heavy braking. And the thing about knurling, like the spoke scalloping, is not all knurling is created equal. You're going to find that other wheel brands offer some sort of knurling, but here's the kicker. Oftentimes, they're painting or powder coating the wheel after the knurling has been done. What happens is the grooves fill up with paint, make them less effective. On the VS-5RS and all Sprintline wheels, we go the extra mile to mask off this knurling to keep it as sharp and as effective as possible, so it adds real value to you in the real world. A vast majority of these VS-5RS wheels accept center caps. We ship these wheels with Apex gloss black center caps, but a lot of them also accept OEM center caps as well, for that OEM plus look. So if you're a BMW owner and you want to get that BMW roundel in there, or a Porsche owner and you want the Porsche crest cap on there, these wheels are going to accommodate that. It's a really nice touch. Another very cool feature is the laser engraving along the inside of the barrel. All Apex forged wheels offer this unique feature, and our customers love it. Whether you need to replace a wheel or you're just chatting about wheel specs with your buddies, viewing the laser engraving will give you wheel specification information like width and offset. It'll verify the wheel design that you have. It'll also indicate the load rating for the vehicle, its intended application, and even bits of information about wheel hardware that this wheel is built to use. The last feature, and arguably the most important one that I want to cover for the VS-5RS, is the third-party testing that we conduct. Like all forged wheels at Apex, our wheels are third-party tested by STL and ITS labs right here in the United States. And this is to basically give you as the customer the confidence that we are delivering on all the promises that we are making to you. Now, our engineers are very proud of putting high-performance, safe wheels into your hands for street use and track applications. But at the end of the day, we offer you the ability to go to our website and check out our certifications firsthand to know that this is something that you can have confidence in. This is a big problem within our industry, and it's something that we're trying to change here at Apex. To wrap it up, as part of our commitment to real performance, we released the forged Sprintline and the VS-5RS to truly deliver a lightweight wheel design that boosts performance at an attainable price point, without compromising on our values for strength, stiffness, and testing. The Sprintline and the VS-5RS focus on weight savings is designed for drivers who prioritize reducing rotational mass over maximizing strength, and they understand that every part of a car is a consumable item when you really push it to its limit. At the end of the day, you can't design one wheel design for all types of enthusiasts. We all enjoy different types of cars, and we use them in different ways. If you want the lightest wheel design, then you'll want to get the VS-5RS from our Sprintline. If you want more stiffness and more durability, or you have an application that puts a ton of stress on your wheels, big aero and sticky tires, then you'll want to get the VS-5RE version from our Enduro Line. If you're interested in learning more about the specifications, the different fitments and finish options that we have for you in our VS-5RS or our VS-5RE lineups, visit apexwheels.com or click the link low in the description. Alright guys, that's it from me. I really hope to catch you out at the racetrack soon with a set of your forged Apex wheels. If you have any comments or questions, please be sure to put those below. And like and subscribe, it really motivates us to create more technical content for you guys. Till then, we'll see you next time.